Hello, and today we'll be talking about the Great Barrier Reef and the sustainable ways that it can be used. Right, so first off, a sustainable approach that would happen. But let's start off with a definition. Sustainability is defined as an international effort or environmental health, social equality, and economic health to create a thriving, healthy, and diverse community for current generations and generations to come in the future. The Great Barrier Reef has many sustainable concepts that range from levels such as concepts from educational programs or coral nurseries, and they all contribute to saving the Great Barrier Reef. The concepts to make the Great Barrier Reef a healthy reef is the government's long-term sustainability plan to be fully enacted by 2050, and it starts with banning disposables in the park opposite the Great Barrier Reef and stopping the capital dredging program. If you don't know, dredging is removing undisturbed land to make waters deeper for ships or ports to be built. Poaching laws have also been introduced. So you can stop turtles and dugongs and finding helping the indigenous and land managers to help reduce the marine debris. The government is also in the process of funding $100 million in 5 years to improve the water quality and scientific research to help the water and how to save the coral. They are also helping businesses transition to better environmental practices of the water production of the fishing industry. The short-term concepts the government is trying to help with the reef is appointing a minister for the reef and is helping release a shipping plan to enhance ship and environmental safety. This was released in 2015. The adaptive plan will be in an annual report done to check on the reef, and the minister that has declared that will be leading it and will have an adaptive managing and adapt how the reef is going. The concepts of sustainability from the reef, though, is always being talked with the indigenous people to make sure they're okay with how the government is handling it. Now I'll go to my Asian correspondent to talk about the corals and the aquatic species in the reef.
So, the aquatic species you can find in the Great Barrier Reef, starting with the corals. Number one, we will have the organ pipe coral, also known as Tubipora musica. Wow, I butchered that. And it usually occupies a large area of the reef and grows to a size of about 1 meter across. The structural aspects of the corals are that it has a hard skeleton of pipe-like tubes, with each single polyp bearing 8 feathery tentacles. This coral is found around shallow waters and up to about 12 meters deep. Next coral is the flower pot coral, also known as the Alveropora species. Like the organ pipe coral, this coral spans a wide area, and the actual size of the coral, it can grow about 10 centimeters long and 2 centimeters wide, which is pretty small for a coral. But they usually group together to form large colonies, and in terms of structure, it is made up of many individual polyps joined together at the base of the coral to form branches, columns, or dome-shaped colonies. The individual polyps are highly flexible and active and constantly moving around and feeding, usually found around 5 to 25 meters deep. Next coral is a smooth cauliflower coral, also known as Stylophora pistala. It has a smaller size compared to the other corals listed before, and it grows to a size of around 30 centimeters, and its structure is a hard, branching coral with blunt, slightly flattened ends. The color ranges from a cream, pink, or a blue to green. It's usually found around 5 meters deep in the reef. Next coral is the hump coral, also known as Portes densa. Same with the smooth cauliflower coral, it has a small size, able to grow to 15 centimeters. It's usually found around shallow inner reefs, but found less frequently in the outer reefs. Its structural makeup is small, stony, and grows in a rounded hump shape. It prefers to grow in the absence of other species, although it can occasionally be found near algae and other corals. It feeds on symbiotic algae in the day and filters on plankton at night. On to the next coral, it is the finger coral. Also known, its species name is the Montipora digitana. Digita? Finger coral grows around 40 centimeters across, and the structure is that it grows in a hand-like or tree-like colonies with blunt upright branches. It is covered in very small corallites that give it a rough sandpaper-like texture. Like most other hard corals, it gets its energy from both zooxanthellae that live in its tissues as well as carnivorous feeding. It is usually found in shallow reef environments and mudflats. Next on to the last coral I will have listed today is the honeycomb coral, also known as Diplorastrea. This coral grows in domes of 1 meter or more, and like its name, a honeycomb coral, its appearance is exactly what the name suggests. The coral structure is a large dome shape and is covered in a skeleton of corallites, the individual calcium carbonate cups in which the polyps sit. It is packed closely in a honeycomb pattern, and it inhabits all reef environments to a depth of 20 meters. Moving on to some aquatic species. The first one is a manta ray, also known as the Mobulidae mobula. It takes up usually a large, flat, oddly shaped kind of shape. These fish are named for their unique appearance. Manta meaning blanket or cloak in Spanish. Sporting famously large pectoral fins, these iconic creatures can be spotted in numerous regions of the Great Barrier Reef. Moving on to the next species is a green turtle, also known as Chelonidae chelonia. The green turtle's common name does not relate to its color of the shell, rather than the green flat found beneath its carpus. In the wild, they can be distinguished from the hawksbill by their rounded snouts. Moving on to the next species, the dugong. Also known as, and its species name is a Dugonidae dugong. Growing up to 3 meters long and weighing over 400 kilograms, dugongs are fluke-tailed relatives of the manatee. They swim at a gentle pace of 10 kilometers per hour by using their tail in a whale-like manner and their front flippers like dolphins. That's good water. Moving on to the next species, the whale shark. Also, and its species name is Rhynchodotidae rhynchodon. The whale shark is the largest living fish, going up to 12 meters long. These large fish have 5 sets of gills and have a set of dorsal fins that form a dual-lobed caudal fin. Inside, they're roughly 1.5 meter wide mouths, and they have over 300 rows of teeth. Moving on to the next species, the clownfish, also known by its species name, the Pomacentridae and Theriperon. The clownfish can be many different colors depending on its species, including yellow, orange, red, and black. Most have white details. They are smaller fish, with the smallest around 7 to 8 centimeters long and longest 17 centimeters long. Moving on to the final species I'll be listing, the mantis shrimp, the Hanguana squillida. There are over 450 species of mantis shrimp, all a variety of different colors. They average a length of 10 centimeters, with some growing around 30 centimeters long. There are 2 main types of hunting for mantis shrimp: spearing and smashing. Smashing mantis shrimp have calcified forelimbs they use to administer a power strike to both predators and prey. Spearing mantis shrimp have sharp forelimbs and they use to pierce predators and prey. Moving on to the next topic, evaluating the approaches identified in the terms of economic viability, social justice, and environmental. For economic viability, the economic viability of sustaining the Great Barrier Reef is that the government is implementing $100 million a year to help sustain the health of the reef. Although this may not be economically viable because the amount of money being implemented into sustaining the reef. Social justice. Is 100 million worth being implemented into sustaining the reef, or is it unviable with the government implementing that much money into the reef? It could be viable with getting rid of the whole reef's predator, the crown of thorns starfish, or it could be helping the quality of the salt water going through the reef. This could be beneficial. This could be a beneficial factor to saving the reef's health and its natural occupants. Moving on to the environmental approaches. The $100 million does not affect the outside range of the environmental impact, but the $100 million does exclusively help the reef, so it does environmentally help. There are projects that range from education programs, plastic pollution control, CTOS, eradication, coral nurseries, renewable energy development, and responsible stewardship by marine park tourism organizations, which all contribute to helping to save the Great Barrier Reef.
Again, I want some screen time. Alright, and finally we'll talk about how details of the social, environmental and economic approaches are tackling to identify this threat. The threat to the Great Barrier Reef is its water quality. If you improve the water quality, then the reef can get through climate change as the water is getting hotter and the coral and animals are dying. Or the animals are migrating to other parts, losing species and losing the environmental culture. And an economic approach to this is the government, again, providing $100 million within 5 years exclusively to water quality. And undoubtedly, they'll be funding more money into it for animals and the coral life. The social approach is listening to the Indigenous community on how they can be sustainable, doing things that they did before we came to colonise. The environmental approach is improving the water quality, and this will be redirecting ships around the reef and not going through it, because that is affecting the natural environment. But with the ships being redirected, the water quality will rise, and the Great Barrier Reef is on its journey to being saved. And that is the end of my report with my Asian friend here. Bye bye. See you later.